the Electoral Commission, Justice Byabakama Mugenyi Simon, the Deputy Chairperson, Hajat Aisha Lubega, Commissioner Honorable Stephen Tashobya, Commissioner Dr. Simba Kayunga Sali, Commissioner Honorable Anthony Okero, Commissioner Caroline Binamadio, you are welcome to your grounds. You have invited members of the press and some of the accredited persons to this National Tally Center to update the country on the elections that are taking place and commencing tomorrow, the 15th of January 2026. I will not take much time, and I will now invite you, Lord Chairperson, to either speak from there or speak from here, whichever place that you choose. I think you speak from there in the midst of the commission and address the country and the world that is following this process as we prepare to commence the voting tomorrow. Over to you, Lord Chair.
Thank you, Julius, the Deputy Chairperson, commissioners, members of or representatives of political parties or candidates if they are either present, ambassadors, observers, accredited observers who are here, either local, international, members of the press, staff of the Electoral Commission, ladies and gentlemen. It is my privilege and pleasure told I have to move over there because of the sign language interpreter. It is my privilege and pleasure to welcome you all to this national briefing where the Commission will update the nation on the final preparations for the presidential and general parliamentary elections 2026. On behalf of the Electoral Commission and on my own behalf, I wish to congratulate the government and people of Uganda upon achieving this milestone in our electoral roadmap. Excuse me. The 2025-26 general elections are being conducted at a time when Uganda is commemorating 30 years of the 1995 Constitution. We salute the people of Uganda for the achievements we have made in constitutional governance, and we particularly commend the citizens for embracing elections as the democratic and peaceful means of choosing their leaders. This commitment has greatly contributed to making Uganda a beacon of stability within the region and beyond. Since its establishment under the Constitution, the Electoral Commission has organized and conducted 6 general elections, that is in 1996, 2001, 2006, 2011, 2016, and 2021, as well as 2 referenda on the political systems in 2000 and 2005, as well as numerous parliamentary and local government council elections and by-elections. Tomorrow, Thursday, 15th January 2026, we will commence polling activities for the 7th general election in our country. The roadmap for the 2025-26 general elections was launched on the 2nd of August 2023, and the Commission has since undertaken various preparatory activities in line with this roadmap. Polling for the presidential, general parliamentary, and local government councils elections will accordingly take place on various appointed dates starting tomorrow, 15th January. The 2026 general elections represent another significant milestone in our democratic journey. We extend our appreciation to all stakeholders in the electoral process, including the electorate, government, political parties, civil society organizations, the media, development partners, security agencies, observers, and religious and cultural leaders for their invaluable support and contribution to these activities. As a recap, the following candidates were successfully nominated to contest for the position or office of the President. Number 1, Bulira Frank, representing the Revolutionary People's Party. Kasvante Robert, National Peasants Party. Kyagulanyi Sentam Robert, National Unity Platform. Mabiz Joseph, Conservative Party. Mugisha Muntu Gregory Muntu Oyera, Alliance for National Transformation. Munyagwa Mubarak Serunga, the Common Man's Party. Nandala Nathan Mafwavi James, Forum for Democratic Change. Yoweri Tuhaburwa Museveni Kaguta, National Resistance Movement. Campaigns for presidential and parliamentary elections ended yesterday, Tuesday, 13th of January 2026 at 6 p.m. and polling will be conducted tomorrow. Voting shall be by universal adult suffrage and shall take place at all the 50,739 polling stations across the country, beginning at 7 a.m. till 4 p.m. The Commission wishes to emphasize that polling for presidential and parliamentary, that is, directly elected member of parliament and district woman representative to parliament elections will take place on the same day. Furthermore, the ballot paper for presidential elections bears the particulars of all the above-mentioned presidential candidates. The Commission, therefore, wishes to dismiss the false information which has circulated on social media that voters will vote for individual candidates on separate days. That is false. Just dismiss it and disregard it in its entirety. After the final process of cleaning up the National Voters Register, the total number of registered voters in Uganda are as follows. First of all, the number of districts in the country, as by today, 14th January 2026, 146 districts, 312 counties, 353 parliamentary constituencies, 2,191 sub-counties, or towns, or municipal divisions, 10,717 parishes, 71,214 villages, 50,739 polling stations. The number of registered voters is 21,681,491. Out of the said 21,681,491 voters, the number of male voters is 10,334,362, representing 47% of the total number of registered voters, while the female number of voters is 11,347,129,000, representing 53.5% of registered voters. The Electoral Commission has issued a full color photo bearing voters register for use on polling day. The presiding officers at each polling station will use this color register to identify the voters on polling day. The Commission has further provided copies of the voters register to the presidential candidates to enable them through their official agents ensure that only eligible persons are allowed to vote during this election, and only at the polling station where one is registered as a voter. The Electoral Commission has also issued voter location slips to voters across the country whose particulars appear on the polling day register. The voter location slips will help the voters to conveniently locate their polling stations on polling day. That slip is a response by the Electoral Commission to complaints raised in the past elections where some voters reported difficulty in locating their polling stations. The slip bears the particulars of the voter, namely the photograph, the names, date of birth, and location, that is, the district, constituency, sub-county, parish, and polling station. The VLS also bears a unique barcode which will be read by the biometric voter verification machines which have been deployed at all polling stations across the country. However, the voters register is the primary document for the purpose of polling. Accordingly, a voter whose name is on the voters register but unable to produce a VLS on polling day will still be identified and verified using the BVVK and will be allowed to cast his or her vote. So the fact that a voter does not have a VLS is not a bar or a hindrance to that voter coming to the polling station to be identified, provided he or she is on the voters register of that particular polling station. Similarly, the Commission will use the national ID to conveniently identify a voter and to help reduce on the time a voter will spend on verification. A voter who has a national ID is, therefore, advised to carry his or her national ID on polling day and present it to the BVVK operator at the polling station to be verified. Once again, even if you don't have a national ID, provided you are on the National Voters Register, please come forward and you will be taken through the processes of identifying you using the National Voters Register so that you can cast your vote as well. It is important to note that the VLS and or national ID are important on the day of polling, but they are not mandatory. I repeat, they are not mandatory for one to cast his or her vote. As long as one is a registered voter on the polling register of that polling station, he or she will be identified and allowed to vote, even without a voter allocation slip or national ID. We're emphasizing this because we understand in some areas or quarters, word was going around that if you don't have a voter allocation slip or a national ID, you will not be allowed to vote. Please come forward. The most important and most basic requirement is that you are on the national voter register of that polling station. In order to improve accuracy, security, efficiency, and credibility in the delivery of electoral services, the Electoral Commission has embarked on deliberate actions aimed at integrating technology in its operations and systems. Accordingly, in preparation for the 2026 general elections, the Electoral Commission has acquired biometric voter verification machines which will be used to verify voters who present themselves at polling stations on polling day. The BBVK, as it is known in summary, will be deployed at all the 50,739 polling stations in Uganda during tomorrow. The BVV system is one of the measures aimed at improving the management and conduct of elections in Uganda through authentication of voter identity. This biometric voter verification system basically uses the fingerprints or your face to match the voter details, which will help the presiding officer to confirm the identity of the voter as being the one on the voter's register of that particular polling station before the voter is issued with a ballot paper or ballot papers. The said system will also enable the Commission to ensure that only registered persons vote during the elections and that such persons or voters do not vote more than once for the same election. Hence, the system will help the Commission greatly improve the identification of voters and also address the challenge of voter impersonation during elections. The system will also assist in the search of a voter's details by reading the unique barcode on the VLS or the national ID. This system will also help a voter to locate his or her polling station within the district in case they turn up at a polling station where they are not registered. The training for field staff on the use of the biometric voter verification equipment has been successfully conducted at national, regional, and district levels. The Commission has concluded the training of the presiding officers and polling assistant for the BB machine. The Commission calls upon all the stakeholders in the electoral process to follow the guidelines for the use of the biometric verification technology so that we get the desired result, which is a credible, fraud-free election. The Electoral Commission completed the delivery of all the materials for the presidential and parliamentary elections to the districts and cities across the country. Tomorrow, the polling kits will be delivered to the respective polling stations so that polling commences at 7 a.m. countrywide. Let me also brief the nation on polling day procedures and declaration of the 2026 presidential and parliamentary election results. The key polling day processes include the following. 1. Procedures for opening of polling stations at 7 a.m. However, in order for a polling station to officially open, there must be present at the same time 10 registered voters at that polling station before the presiding officer can commence the process of verification of voters and voting, those 10 registered voters must be present to witness the process of opening the box or the kit or the box carrying the election materials so that voting or polling can commence. Next will be the voter identification and verification process using the biometric voter verification kit and the National Voters Register. Thirdly, there will be issuance and marking of ballot papers to indicate the choice of a candidate. However, before the voter is given the ballot paper, it will first be scanned by this kit or machine. After voting, these ballots will again be scanned before counting takes place. The after counting will be conducted by the presiding officer in the presence of the agents of all the candidates, and any observers will be present, and other authorized officials or persons at the polling station. Then the results, the next major activity will be the tallying of the results, both at district and national levels, and declaration of the final results within the prescribed time frames in the law. The procedures for declaration of the 2026 presidential and parliamentary elections results will be as follows. At the polling station, after the counting of ballot papers cast, the results at the polling station will be announced by the presiding officer at the polling station in the following order. Presidential, we start with the presidential, then directly elected member of parliament, and district or city woman member of parliament. This is provided for in the law. This is a requirement in the law. Then at the sub-county level, results from the polling station shall be transported from the polling station to the sub-county headquarters, which is merely a central collection point for all polling stations of that particular sub-county. So at the sub-county, no single activity will take place regarding polling or voting or the contents of that kit or box. That sub-county headquarters will merely be a collection point. I'm emphasizing this because some stakeholders have expressed concern, or they have raised allegations that when results leave the polling stations and they are taken or delivered to the sub-county headquarters, something funny or something strange happens at the sub-county headquarters to the results. That is not true. The sub-county headquarters are merely to gather all the boxes of the materials after polling from the various polling stations to that sub-county, from which they will be collected up to the district study center. Please note that the envelopes containing results of the various categories shall not be opened at the sub-county because it is for accountability purposes only. As I said, the sub-county point, there is no electoral or any activity connected to elections that takes place at the sub-county. These are just collection points. At the district or city, the results from the sub-county shall then be conveyed or taken to the office of the district or city returning officer, who will then tally and declare the results for the directly elected members of parliament for constituencies in that district or city, and the results of the woman member of parliament for that district or city. The results for the presidential elections from that district will be announced and then transmitted to the National Tally Center here, where we are, electronically. The results, the presidential elections results, will be transmitted electronically from the district tally centers to the National Tally Center where we are right now. And at the National Tally Center, please note that the constituency for the presidential candidates is the entire country. Accordingly, the Electoral Commission will tally all results from the districts or cities of Uganda and finally declare the duly elected candidate as president within 48 hours from the closure of polls. Once again, the Commission has gazetted these very grounds, which is our home or our head office grounds, plot 2508, Lubowa, Kigo, Lueza Road, Makindye, Sabagabo Municipal Council, Wakiso District, as the National Tally Center for the presidential elections. The tallying of results will commence on Thursday, that is tomorrow, after 4 p.m., that is after the closure of polling, as and when the various districts transmit the results to the National Tally Center. In order to minimize disruption of work at the National Tally Center, access will be in a regulated and controlled manner and shall be limited to only duly accredited media personnel, national and international observers, and agents of political parties and independent candidates, as well as other accredited invited guests to this ground. Now, we wish to also to give some guidance to our voters on the correct manner or way of marking the ballot paper. The Commission wishes to guide on how to mark your ballot paper correctly as follows. When you receive the ballot paper, you will notice it has 4 columns. The first column is for the candidates' names, the next is for the candidates' photos, and the third is for the candidate's symbol. Then the last will be an empty box where you are required to put your tick or thumbprint. The voter is required to mark the ballot paper using the authorized mark of choice in the law. That is either a tick or thumbprint provided in the space provided for each candidate. Please don't use any other mark. Don't use any words on that ballot paper. Don't use words like our man, yes, our woman, yo-yo, aberewo, awangale, and such things. Don't write any words in the box against the name of your candidate or the candidate you support. Use the authorized marks in law. If you use any other mark other than those 2, you are rendering your ballot invalid. You'll have wasted your precious time of coming to the polling station, getting the queue, going through all these processes. You also have wasted that vote because the candidate whom you think you support or you supported, who compelled you to come or raised the desire in you to come and vote, will not get that vote from you. It will have been wasted. The voter should be careful that his or her tick or thumbprint is not outside the box or crossing into another candidate's box. If it does, the vote will be invalid. If the tick crosses 2 boxes of candidates, or the thumbprint is partly in the box of one candidate and partly in the box of another candidate, that vote will be rendered invalid. And it will not be counted for any candidate or in favor of any candidate. However, let me emphasize this. paper that has the authorized mark of choice placed on the candidate's name, the box of the name, or the box of the candidate's photo, or the box of the candidate's symbol is in law valid because the intention and the choice of the voter is very clear. It can be ascertained. Although he or she did not place the tick or thumbprint in that box provided for that purpose, but puts the tick or thumbprint on the name of the candidate, or the photo, or the symbol of the candidate, that ballot is valid in law. Voters, therefore, reminded to use only a tick or thumbprint inside the box for the candidate of your choice. I am told some nefarious fellows, if I may use that term, have been telling people or spreading information that once you have ticked for a candidate of your choice, you put a cross against the other candidates. The other candidates who are not your choice, you put a cross. Those are nefarious people. Don't listen to them because they are simply luring you or misleading you to render your ballot or your vote invalid. Just put a tick or a thumbprint against your candidate. Leave the other boxes for the other candidates whom you have not voted for empty or blank. Don't touch them. Voters are therefore urged to mark the ballot paper correctly so that the vote is counted. The Commission wishes also to emphasize that in order to maintain a harmonious, peaceful, tranquil, enabling environment at a polling station, so as to give room to all other voters to come and cast their votes without any fear, without any trepidation. We advise and we urge all voters, once you have cast your vote, leave the polling station. We are alive to the provision of the law that says a voter who has cast his vote to any other person can stand 20 meters away from the polling station. However, we've said that putting that provision in the context of what we have noticed in the past from experience and the goings on at polling station, we find that when people gather around the polling station for many hours, supporting different candidates, there is a high likelihood of disagreement or even fights, confrontation, developing in their midst, and before you know it, the violence has escalated and spread to the polling station, and in the process, the effects or the materials at the polling station are damaged or polling severely disrupted. In 2021, there are a number of polling stations where this occurred, and the Commission was not able to declare or to announce the results or the outcome from those polling stations because this chaos or disruption destroyed or damaged the effects or the materials at that polling station. Secondly, in some instances, this presence of some of these people, some of them they create an intimidating environment at the station, which causes the vulnerable voters to get intimidated. Some of these people even intentionally harass, jeer at some voters they perceive not to be voting or going to vote or supporting a particular candidate. And in the eyes of the Commission, the view of the Commission, which is not orchestrated by any ulterior motives, but the desire to have a peaceful environment at a polling station that allows all peace-loving voters to come and freely exercise their constitutional right under Article 1. We need to live we need to create a very free, flowing, enabling environment around the polling stations so that the voters can come and cast their votes. Once you have cast your vote, you have effectively exercised your right under the Constitution, under Article 1, by choosing a leader of your choice. The only thing that will be remaining is for your vote, together with others, to be counted, provided they are valid in the law. So please, we urge the members of the public and all peace-loving, good-intentioned citizens of this country, heed the call of the Electoral Commission that leave the polling stations, leave room for other voters to come. In any case, many of these polling stations, as you realize, particularly in urban areas, they are in squeezed places, such that even the distances prescribed under the law as the layout of the polling station, which I can even recite now. One, the law says the first table where voters report or line or queue is where the biometric kit and where the ballot papers are placed. The kit is with the operator. The ballot papers and the register are with the presiding officer. That is table number one, is the identification and verification kit of table for voters. The law says the second table should be 15 meters from this first table. And that second table is one where our booth is located. And our booth, in the case of Uganda, is an open basin. We don't have closed booth as in some countries. Ours is open in a basin, 15 meters from the first table. That's where the voter places the ballot paper issued to him or her, places the tick or thumbprint. Then from there, the voter proceeds to the third table, which should be 10 meters from the booth table. The third table is where the box, the transparent box, is placed for the voter to cast in the ballot paper or the vote. Then the fourth table, which should be 10 meters from the table of the ballot box, is where this polling assistant with the ink pad or whatever it is, inks your thumb or whatever, to confirm that you have voted. Then you exit. Now, when you look at these distances, from the first table to the last table, that's about 50 meters. In some of these places in urban areas, it is even difficult to realize the prescribed distances in the law between these various tables. Why? Because of lack of adequate space. So even if the space prescribed for polling stations is inadequate, now where do you get the 20 meters from this table, the polling table, where people can gather? So that's why we are saying that for those who are urging voters to remain at a polling station, majorly or purposely to safeguard or to guard the votes of their respective candidates, this, in our view, doesn't serve the purpose. The vote protection, the safeguarding, and the observation role as to every step and process taking place at the polling station is well catered for in the form of the agents for the various candidates who are participating in elections in that constituency. The agents, as we have said over and again, are people who are recognized in law they are provided for, and their seating arrangement is also well articulated and spelled out in the law. And the law says they should sit near table number 1, the identification and the verification table. Or they should sit in such a way that they should clearly observe what is taking place at table number 1. The agents have, each candidate is entitled to 2 agents per polling station. With the 8 presidential candidates, those are already in the whole country, 16 agents per polling station for presidential. Since elections for MPs is also taking place the same day, if you have a minimum of 5 candidates parliamentary, those are already 10 agents. So that means you have about 25 minimum vote agents. But in many places, in many constituencies, in many areas, the candidates are more than 10. Candidates are more than 10, which means that is parliamentary, which means therefore those are already 20 agents for parliamentary candidates plus 16 agents for presidential candidates. Those are 36. Surely your fears are well catered for. This big or large number of agents is more than sufficient to safeguard, to protect, and take care of the interests of the candidate at that polling station, which the people standing 20 meters away may not do because they are not in close proximity with the table number 1. They are not. They are not even observing whether this voter, his or her thumbprint, has been acknowledged by the biometric kit. Not at all. Then, furthermore, the agents are present throughout the processes at a polling station, from the time of opening to the time of close of polling to the time of counting. They are witnessing the voters who are being verified and identified. They are watching or observing how many ballot papers a voter is being given. They are observing how the voter, after ticking or putting a thumbprint on the ballot paper, is moving to the ballot box, and how many ballot papers that person is casting or putting that ballot box. They are observing all this because they are within the polling station itself. The agents will be present when polling ends, and the presiding officer empties the contents of the ballot box on the polythene sheet on the ground before counting starts. They will be present when the ballot papers will be scanned using the BBVK machine. They will be present when they start counting each ballot paper. They are the ones who will witness which ballot paper is valid or invalid, and what happens to all these ballot papers. And they will witness how many ballot papers each candidate has received. And finally, or near finally, they will be present when the presiding officer is recording the outcome of the counting process on the declaration of results form. And the law requires them to append or to put their signature against this DR form. The agency, and the law says after that, after they have signed, the presiding officer is required or commanded to give the agents of each candidate the DR form, a copy of the declaration of results form. The same form that is being transmitted to the district tally center to the returning officer. The contents are the same. The agents. Assuming a candidate does not have any agent, because the deployment of agents at the polling station is at the preserve of the candidate. the preserve of a candidate. But assuming, let me give this illustration, assuming the agent has not deployed the candidate has not deployed an agent at any agent, even one at the polling station. One, voting will take place because you opted, though it was your right, you opted not to send an agent to a polling station. Two, the voter verification and identification take place in the presence of those agents who are present. The fact that there is no agent for a particular candidate, and you, the voters who have voted, who are standing 20 meters away, the presiding officer will not say, now since candidate X does not have an agent here to witness this, is there any supporter among you people standing 20 meters away so that you come and fill this gap? No, it will not happen. Because you are more or less irrelevant. Once you have cast your vote, the other processes at polling station are not for you. Then the other scenario, since the law says that the presiding officer must hand over the DR form to each candidate through his or her agents, if there is none for a particular candidate, will the presiding officer say, hey, you people who are standing behind there, hey, is there supporter for candidate X, since he does not have an agent here, so that we hand over the DR form to you and you take to him or her? No, they will not call upon you. Even if you holler on top of your voice, oh, yo, they will not say, let one of you, the supporters, step forward and we hand over the DR form to you. I'm raising all these scenarios to show the relevance of voters at a polling station in the observation or participation in the critical nitty-gritties of the polling process at this polling station. So please, we reiterate, let us avoid a scenario where undesired outcomes will erupt at a polling station and cause severe disruptions. In my humble view, in the humble view of the Commission, the dangers of these people staying around the polling station far outweigh the advantages you think you will achieve by them being around. The dangers of their stay far outweigh the would-be advantages. So that's why we urge, please, it is not for wrong or sinister reasons that we are urging people to leave a polling station. Let us have a very tranquil, peaceful, happy event of the people of Uganda exercising their constitutional right, choosing leaders of their choice freely, peacefully, happily, without anything causing disruption. However, we voters are urged to mark, I had finished that one, to mark the ballot paper correctly. Now, the other point I want to emphasize in this pre-polling briefing is the role of election observers and candidates agents. I'm sorry, I've already jumped the queue on candidates agents, but well, it's for emphasis. In accordance with Section 16, subsection 2 and 3 of the Electoral Commission Act, the Commission invited applications from political parties and organizations, civil society organizations, institutions, and individuals, both national and international, to observe electoral activities under the roadmap for the 2025-2026 general elections. Accordingly, the Electoral Commission has accredited national and international observers to observe the elections. I think by yesterday, the accreditation committee, which is headed by the deputy chairperson, Hajat Eshal Rega, informed us that they had accredited close to about 1,500 I think both local and international observers. And the Commission has been interacting with a number of delegations from various African entities or regional bodies and other non-African delegates who have expressed interest to come and be part of the observers' role, play a role in the observation of our elections this year. The Commission has further accredited observers from political parties which presented candidates for the purpose of the presidential and parliamentary elections. These accredited observers will be required to limit their activity to designated areas, and the Uganda police has been notified to enforce this regulation. I also want to say this. Security will clearly be visible tomorrow, polling day, or even before. However, I want to assure the people of Uganda, the presence or role of security in your areas is not to create an intimidating atmosphere or environment, but rather to ensure that there is an environment of peace and tranquility that gives assurance to the rightful voters that you are free to go and cast your vote, you are secure from harassment, from intimidation, and go and exercise your role or your constitutional right at the polling station. The security services, our brothers and sisters, and therefore they are there to safeguard the lives of the people of Uganda and the nation and statehood of our country, not to hinder or obstruct any citizen who is a registered voter from going to cast their vote. So do not fear, do not get apprehensive because you have cited security either along the roads or in your area patrolling and so on and so forth. They are carrying out their constitutional duty of safeguarding the lives of the people of Uganda, their properties, and also maintaining law and order. However, any person who will be inclined to cause disruption to the rights of the people of Uganda in exercising their constitutional right will be dealt with severely in accordance with the law by law enforcement agencies. Even if you know this person does not support my candidate, you have no right to hinder that person, to obstruct that person, to threaten, to jeer at, or intimidate that person with a view to discourage him or her from going to vote for a person of his or her choice. That Article 1 is unassailable. Power belongs to the people, and this power shall be exercised by them individually participating in a free and fair election in choosing leaders of their liking, period. So no Ugandan, nobody has a right to stop or to hinder in any way, either through words or actions or whatever, this Ugandan from exercising his constitutional duty. The participating political parties and independent candidates are required to submit names of 2 observers who have been accredited for purposes of accessing. Are they 2 or 5? Hajat, are they 2? Those who are accessing the tally center? 2 or 5? 2, because of the numbers. 2 political parties have been allowed to recommend 2 observers, I think, who have already been accredited by the Electoral Commission to access the tally centers either at district level or national level. The Commission has provided all those accredited with written clearance, relevant information, and identification for purposes of observing the elections. The other day at Hotel Mistil, We had a debriefing session with all the observers, and we took them through what is expected of them or required of them as observers, and I think they are well equipped with the do's and don'ts of observation in our country. In conclusion, the Commission urges all stakeholders conduct themselves in a tolerant and peaceful manner and participate in the final activities of this election in accordance with the guidelines and the law to ensure that we achieve a free and fair exercise. Apart from the guidelines and the law, I think as citizens, we should all be driven by the desire that at the end of it all, we must all have a peaceful, stable country for the good of ourselves, for the benefit of all of us. Because whatever we do, whatever we undertake, whether it is educating our children, taking them to school every day, or putting them in boarding school, whether it is going to our businesses or in the markets or the offices, all that can only happen in an environment, in an atmosphere of peace and stability, not chaos, not mayhem or destruction of our lives and properties. We further appeal for calm and tolerance before, during, and after counting and announcing of results at all levels. I understand some stakeholders have been urging their supporters that once the results have been announced at polling station A, polling station B, start the march. Or that where? Now, we are taking all these measures. We are going to take these measures and to require and emphasize part of the reason we are urging people to go away from polling stations because of the rhetoric some of the stakeholders have been using in the way they have been urging people to remain. The tone is not that what promotes good conduct, peace, and respect for others. So that's why we are saying, to avoid all this, to have a country that is peaceful during and after polling, let us all observe the guidelines that have been issued by the Electoral Commission and the law in general. Once again, on behalf of the Electoral Commission and on my own behalf, I wish to thank all the people of Uganda for having gone through all the various electoral activities that we highlighted in the roadmap that was launched in August 2023, which we have been undertaking and executing together with you one by one. Yesterday marked one of those key milestones, campaigns. Now we are aiming or going for the apex of it all, and that is polling. And I believe working together, united, and having one desired goal of a continuous, progressive, peaceful country, we shall pull off this process tomorrow. I thank you and wish the people of Uganda a peaceful election day today and the outcomes thereafter. I say all this for God and my country. Thank you so much.
Enkuba y'embogo nga 10 awo.
who don't follow the language I've been using, olw'obulungi lw'abantu baffe abatwogera oba abatawulira olulimi lwe mbadde nkozesa olufuutifuuti, kambayitire mu bimpimpi obubaka bwange, obubaka bw'akakiiko k'ebyokulonda. Okusooka twagala okwebaza Abannayuganda bonna abasobodde okutuuka ku lunaku olwaleero mu kaweefube ono w'okulonda ku 26 we tuliko campaigns z'obwa president n'aba member of parliament zakomekerezeddwa olunaku lw'eggulo. Olwaleero lubadde olunaku lw'okuwumula eri ba candidates n'okubeera n'enteekateeka n'aba agents baabwe kukola enkungaana n'aba agents si n'aba voters. Olwaleero sikola enkungaana z'abalonzi oba voters, naye candidate okutuula aba agents be ba campaign managers be ekyo kikirizibwa mu mateeka. Campaigns ezikkirizibwa oba okuba olukungaana oba okubeera na program ku radio oba TV ng'ekunga oba ewagira candidate yenna, ebyo byonna byakomekerezeddwa. Nga kakiiko twagala okutegeeza Bannayuganda nti abantu abaasunsulwamu kubajjukiza, kubanga mubadde mubamanyi babadde ba campaign, naye twagala kubajjukiza nti ba candidates bali 8. Tulina Mwami Bulira Frank wa Revolutionary People's Party, Mwami Kasivante Robert wa National Peasants Party, Mwami Kyagulanyi Sentamu Robert wa National Unity Platform, Mwami Babirizi Joseph Conservative Party, Mwami Mugisha Gregory Muntu Oyera wa Alliance for National Transformation, Mwami Munyagwa Mubarak Serunga Common Man's Party, Mwami Nandala Nathan Mafabi James Forum for Democratic Change, Mwami Yoweri Tibuhaburwa Museveni Kaguta wa National Resistance Movement. Okulonda akalulu ka kyama era polling station emitwalo 5 mu 739 eziri mu ggwanga lyonna zakugulawo enkeera oba enkya ng'ennaku 15 okutandika n'essaawa emu okulonda kugendera ddala mpaka ssaawa 10. Naye essaawa 10 bwe ziwera nga tulina balonzi abakyali mu layini, amateeka gagamba nti balina okulonda, tebalina okugobebwa nti muddeyo obudde buyiseewo, nedda. Naye omuntu atakirizibwa kulonda oyo ajja kikeererezi ng'essaawa 10 zamaze kuwera. Omuntu oyo tajja kukirizibwa oba tajja kuweebwa akalulu okulonda. Era twagala okujjukiza Bannayuganda nti olunaku lw'enkya tugenda kubeera n'okulonda kwa ebifo 3: ekifo ky'obwa president, ekifo ky'omukiikize wa kyala mu parliament, ate n'ekifo ky'omukiikize wa constituency. Ebikozesebwa byonna aba candidates bano benjogereko bonna bajja kubeera ku ballot paper y'obwa president. Nolwekyo twagala okusambaga ebibadde biyitangana ebyabulimba nti okulonda okwaba pulezidenti kugenda kubeerawo mu nnaku za njawulo. Olunaku bwe luti kulonda kwa pulezidenti gundi, olunaku bwe luti kulonda kwa pulezidenti gundi. Abo bulimba bwennyini. Ba candidates bonna bagenda kubeera ku ballot paper egi emu olunaku lw'enkya. Teri lunaku lwala okulonda ba president, teri lunaku lwala okulonda ba member of parliament, lunaku lw'enkya. Lwekyo bw'ebyobulimba mu bisambaga eri temubikkiriza. Mujje abalonzi mwenna mugende ku polling station zammwe musobole okulonda. Okusinziira ku bitulina mu Uganda kati ebikwata ku kulonda tulina districts 146, amasaza 3 12 constituency z'abakiikize mu parliament 353 amagombolola oba town council oba division za municipality 21,191 enamba y'emiruka eri mu ggwanga 1,717 ebyalo ebiri mu ggwanga byonna 7,214 polling stations nga bwengambye ziri 5,739 ate abalonzi abantu abagenda kwetaba mu kulonda kwebifo byonna presidenti bamember of parliament abakulembeze mu gavumenti z'ebitundu bonna bali bukadde 21 68,491 bukadde 21 68,491 bebalonzi abali ku register. Kunambi eyo abakyala be batusinga obungi abaami bali 10,000 obukadde 10 3,314,362 obutikitiki obutuntundu 47 ku 100 ate abakyala abalonzi bali obukadde 11 3,479 obutikitiki 53 n'ekitundu ku balonzi abali ku register. Twamaze dde okufulumya register erimu ebifaananyi ebya kala ebyerangi ebigenda kukozesebwa ku polling register zigenda kukozesebwa ku polling stationers. Buli presiding officer ajja kubeera na register eno erimu ebifaananyi by'abalonzi biri mu langi ba mu kala n'amannya gaabwe bigenda kukozesebwa ku polling station okumanyiira n'okukakasa abalonzi ku polling station eyo. Ate twamaze n'okuweereza aba presidential candidates register yemu nabo bagina ekigenderwa nti ba agents baabwe be bagenda okuteeka ku polling station babawe kopi ya buli polling station agent wagenda okubeera enoomusobosesa okukakasa oba n'okumanyiira abalonzi abanaaba bazze polling station eyo basobole nga tebanaweebwa akalulu oba obululu. Commission nga bwe yetegeeza eggwanga twafulumya enkola etuyita voter allocation slip oba kakonge akaliko amannya go district gy'obeera ekyalo mw'obeera ne polling station w'olondera. Akapapula kano kaliko enkola ebyuma bya kalimagezi nti bw'ogenda nako ku polling station waliwo akuuma ke bagenda kayisaako kakakase nti ddala oli mulonzi polling station eno kisobole okwanguya omulimu gw'okukakasa okumanyira abalonzi nga tonakwatibwa ballot paper. Kirala nti record enkulu nnyo ekwata ku kulonda polling station ye register y'empapula. Nolwekyo oyinza obutabeera na voter allocation slip oba tewafuna budde okafuna akapapula ako, oyinza obutabeera na national ID naye bw'obanga omanyi nti oli mulonzi polling station eyo tekikugaana kugenda kulonda wabula bagenda kukakasa okumanyiira nga beeyambisa register eyo eri polling station. Naye ekyo tokkiriza kubanga nyawulidde waliwo ebigambo byadde biyisangana abatalina voter allocation slip abatalina national ID tebagenda kulonda oba indangamuntu tebagenda kulonda. Nedda ssebo nedda nnyabo kasita omanyi nti oli mu register polling station gy'olondera wegenda butereevu abantu baffe bagenda okuyamba bakumanyiire bakukakase bakuwe akapapula oba obupapula obw'okulonda. Obuuma bwa kalimagezi. Electoral Commission egenda kweyambisa obuuma bwa kalimagezi ku buli polling station obunaasobosesa oba obujja kukozesebwa okumanyiira omulonzi nga tweyambisa kinkumu ekinku mubanga kyakendera wati tekibwayo bulungi bajja kukuba kafaananyi akuuma kano kagenda kukuba face yo oba ekiyenyi ekifaananyi obanga oli mulonzi polling station eyo bikukwatako bigenda kujja ku screen yakuuma ako then balyoke bakuwe akapapula ak'okulonda oba ballot paper ate akapapula ako tebanakakukwasa akuuma kano nako kagenda kusooka kakakakase oba bakasikaninge nga bwe bagamba obuuma buno bugenda kubeera ku polling station zonna ez'omu ggwanga akuuma kano omugaso gwako nti kayamba okusooka okukendeeza kwabo abandyetaaze okulonda emirundi ebiri oba n'okusukamu oba abakozesa amannya agatali gaabwe kulowooza kujja ku polling station omanyi nti erinnya lya gundi taata wange yafa bekangende nga mbenze gundi yali ku polling station kasita ali mu register tebamusangulangamu n'ogamba ntize gundi ne bakugiwa akapapula n'ogenda naye kakati bw'ogamba ntize gundi ne bakugamba teekako ekinkumu tekijja kukwatagana na mannya agali n'ebintu ebikwata ku amannya ago omukuuma kaffe bakugambe nti toli mulonzi ekyokubiri oyinza okuba nti ogenze polling station gy'otolondera akuuma ako bw'obanga oli mulonzi mu district eyo akuuma kegenda kugamba oba bagenda kugamba betolondera wano wabula polling station yo eri gindi kasita obeera mulonzi mu district eyo naye nga mutabamanya niweesanga nti ogenze mu polling station endala okay ebikozesebwa mu kulonda oba bigenda kukozesebwa olunaku lw'enkya twamaze obiweereza mu district zonna za Uganda obupapula bw'abalonzi n'ebirala twamaze bituusa era keera kyemanyi mu ssaawa nga 9 oba 10 abaofiisa baffe nga waliwo ba agents ba candidates ba bibiina by'obufuzi bajja okutandika okupakira ebintu ebyo nga babijja mu store kati babiterese babiteeke ku motoka za pickups oba motoka zonna zinaaba ziriwo nga babitambuza obitwala polling stations okulonda kusobole okutandika mu budde n'ekirala njagala kukubiriza abantu nti akakiiko k'ebyokulonda kakimanyi bulungi nti amateeka gagamba nti omuntu wamala kulonda waddembe okuyimirira mita 20 okuva ku polling station oba ku mmeeza eri omuntu gy'alondera neffe ne tukubiriza abantu nti okusinziira ku bye tuzze tulaba mu kulonda ku mwaka 2021 n'okulonda kuno kwa by elections mu bitundu ebitali mu by'eggwanga tuzze tukiraba nti abantu beekunganya kumpi ne polling station nga bamaze kulonda kati balina ekirala kibakola bali awo bali ssaawa 2, 3, 4 bali mu kifo kimu tomanyi oli kyalya oba kyanywa ku ssaawa eyo tusanze nti oluusi wabalukawo akatabanguko oba obutakiriziganya wakati w'abantu bano jjukira abantu bano babeera n'abacandidates be bawagira b'enjawulo n'osanga abawagizi ba candidate gundi bali mu kifo kimu n'abawagizi ba candidate gundi ne batandika kubagana empower oba arguments ku mulundi guno tugenda oba mega luli mwatubba naye biki ogenda kukakana batandisa okulwanagana batandisa akavuyo era akavuyo nga kayingidde polling station omwaka 2021 twabirabako bassebo ne bannyabo waliwo polling stations ekyotere eyo ebukuma nsimbi emukono bundi bujo n'awalala ebyava mu kulonda polling station ezo ezimu tetwabifuna olw'akavuyo akaali ku polling station ezo okulwanagana akavuyo ne boonoona ebintu ballot paper ne bazoonoona oluusi mu bifo bimu baali bakamala okubala results abantu ne basitula box yonna ne badduka nayo nga tomanyi obagitutte
kati ne tugamba okwewala emivuyo eyo okubeera n'abawagizi ab'enjawulo ate bwe kituuka kuwagira abakandidesi oluusi abantu tebabeera na mukwano n'olwekyo ne tugamba nti to avoid all this okwewala bino byonna kyandibadde kirungi era tugamba nti musooke muveewo muwe omwagaanya bannayuganda bannammwe abalondera ku kifo ekyo ku polling station eyo nabo bajje basange embeera eyobutebenkevu embeera ey'emirembe polling station nga tewali kavuyo kubanga olw'abantu akavuyo batya akavuyo ate bakayinza obagaana ne bagamba katuddeyo waka kubanga embeera iwali tetuyagisobola naddala bakyala abantu abakulu abantu abaliko obulemu eyo embeera eyinza okutiisatiisa oba eyinza okugaana abantu okujja okulonda nolwekyo tugamba nti sooka muddeyo owaka okole emirimu mirala then ku ssaawa y'okubala obululu osobola okudda okuwitnessinga okulaba naye ate bwojja togenda munda mu polling station kubanga okubala obululu nagwo guba mulimu gw'okulonda kiri mu mateeka olina okuyimirira mita 20 naye emirundi egisinga obungi kitulabye abantu bajja ne bayetooloola presiding officer ali wano wenyimiridde abantu nga bali emabega wano ku madaala wano kati presiding officer bw'ajja obululu bwaba nga basooka okukakasa akalulu akalamu ke kaluwa abantu bana beetoolodde baba kafu ate oluusi presiding officer ali omu ba polling officials bali bana oba bataano abantu abebeetoolodde abaleekaana ngu kafu balinga 50 oba 100 ne babeera mbeera kutiisa nze nyakirabako waliwo polling station gye yagendako mu by election sijjukira baludaki eyo mubyalo nyatuuka ku polling station mu budde bw'okubala kalulu omuloozi tiiki yali agitadde ebweru ya kabokisi tiiki welina okubeera ebweru naye mu layini yennyini ya candidate oyo kakati presiding officer yalaga akalulu bwati abantu bebalekana kafu ninga kafu lwaki kati presiding officer naye bambi yali attidde nga lindako nembaga basebanya buze chairman okiko byekoloni akalulu kana mateeka gagamba akalulu sikafu lwansonga nti omulonzi akamaka oba akatiiki oba kinkumu tabitadde mu box eri yateekebwa ku ballot paper omuntu bw'ateeka tiiki ku kifaananyi kya candidate oba ku linnya lya candidate oba ku simbo oba kabonero ka candidate akalulu ako kalamu nnyo kubanga etteeka erigamba nti kasita ekigendererwa ky'omulonzi kisobola okukakasibwa oba okutegeerwa ako kalulu kalamu kandi nemugamba kakati olabye akatiiko ako bwakatadde yes akatadde buweeru akabokisi naye ekigendererwa kye tukitegeera wate tukitegeera alonze candidate oyo yadde akatiiki akatadde bweru waki wa bokisi naye lw'abantu bali abaliwo nga baleekaana kafu natyeraga wa kale kafu ekyobola tugamba nti please muleke ba presiding officers ba polling officials n'aba agents ba candidates bakole mulimu gwabwe abakunga abantu bagamba ntumanyi bwe mulina okukuuma akalulu kammwe bwe munaavaawo akalulu kammwe kagenda kubbibwa bagenda okukacyankalanya bagenda okukakola ki sebo abakuumi we bali ab'obululu mu mateeka abamanyiddwa beba agents ba candidates ate ku mulundi gundi bagenda kubeera bangi presidential candidates 8 buli omu waleeta 2 abo 16 abo bangi ba member of parliament ebifo bisinga bungi sirwa nti waliwo okujjako nga abaliwo nga abayitamu nga unopposed naye ebifo bisinga bungi waliwo ba candidates abatali wansi wa 5 oba 10 abo ba agents bameka 20 10 already olina ba agents with police station eyinza okubeera na ba agents abatali wansi wa 20 ba agents kati bwoba ogamba nti twagala banaakuuma kalulu kaffe beebo bebakuumi ate bo bamanyiddwa mu mateeka bakirizibwa mu mateeka si bali simanyi bayimiridde emita 20 ne bigenda mu maaso nti basobola birengera bulungi oba byabakama bwazze oba obupapula bamuwadde bumeka tasobola birengera kubanga presiding of agent wa candidate alina okutuula mu ngeri eneemusobozesa okulaba okutegeera biki ebigenda mu maaso ku meeza ku table number 1 oba meeza esookerwako we bakakasiza balonzi ne baweera obululu olwo kyetugamba okwewala emivuyo yonna okwewala embeera yonna eneereetawo okutaataganya ebyokulonda polling station eneereetawo okutiisa abantu baffe mu luzungu bakita vulnerable people tusooke tuve ku polling station kyekigenderwa kyaffe basebo banyewo era twagala bakakasa nti ab'ebitongole byokwerinda Uganda Police Force ng'ekolera wamu n'ebitongole byokwerinda nga bwe ba police force bwe nabesiimye oba bwe nabesazeewo kibanga kikirizibwa mu ssemateeka bajja kuba we bali naye ekigenderwa ky'abantu abo baana baffe baganda baffe ate mwe mubambaza uniform kyokulaba nti embeera y'obutebenkevu embeera y'emirembe eriwo mu ggwanga lyonna kwegamba omulonzi yenna ave waka waabeera atambule oba avuge emotoka ye agende polling station talina kyatya teri amukwatako teri amukugira oba teri amugaana kyekigenderero kyekyo olwekyo twewale emivuyo enaaleeta okutaataganyizibwa ebyokulonda mu bitundu byaffe kubanga wabawo okutaataganyizibwa kwonna obululu ne bwonooneka oba ne bwonoonebwa then mwe abazze ne musimba ennyiriri ne mubeera mu layini kumala obudde amaanyi gammwe ebiseera byammwe n'okwewaayo kwammwe bijja kuba bifiiridde awo bwereere ate na kandidate w'oyagala w'owagira n'ajja kufiirwa obululu buno bw'aba afunye bw'ayinza kuba afunye polling station eyo so tubasaba nti mugondere akakiiko k'ebyokulonda kyebagamba tusobole okubeera n'akalulu ak'emirembe ak'amazima n'obwenkanya tukubiriza abantu bonna naddala balonzi nti temubeera n'okutya kwonna eggwanga lyaffe lijja kusigala Uganda ng'okulonda kuwedde tuli bumu tukola emirimu gyaffe nga bulijjo ate nga tuganyulwamu byetukola abakalabalaba amateeka gatukkiriza okukkiriza abakalabalaba oba observers abagala okulaba engeri akalulu kaffe wekagenda okukolebwa n'ekyo twamaze okuwandiisa ab'okukkiriza abakalabalaba nga 1,500 basisobeddwa abasinga obungi bamaze okutuuka mu Uganda ku lunaku ku balaza lwa balaza twabadde nabo Mestil Hotel ne tubanyonnyola biki balina okukola biki balina kugobererwa nga observers nga okusinziira mu mateeka agafuka okulonda mu Uganda. Nolwekyo namaliriza tusaba bannayuganda bonna n'abo bonna abanaaba benyigira mu kulonda kuno tusigale nga tukuuma emirembe obutebenkevu obuntu bulamu nga abantu b'eggwanga lyaffe nga bakozesa obuyinza obwaba bwewasa amateeka ogamba nti obuyinza bwonna buli eri abantu oba buva mu bantu ate bwe banaasalangawo ani agenda obakulembera mu kalulu k'amazima n'obwenkanya tweyamye ng'akakiiko tujja kukola kyonna kisoboka eddoboozi ly'abantu lisobole okuwulirizibwa n'okuteekebwamu ekitiibwa mwebale nnyo mwebale ddala
Thank you very much, Lord Justice Biabakam Mogin Simon, the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, for the address to the nation about our preparedness and expectations tomorrow when the country goes to the polls to elect a president and members of parliament. You've been speaking to the country through the media, and your address has been covered live on various media platforms. I do not know whether members of the press might have one or two questions. If you do, I will Lord Chair, with your I seek your indulgence to take some few questions so that then you may answer them, and then
thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. My name is Peter Wandeme. I work with Delta TV. Justice Simon, most of the people, like the candidate, are complaining about being excluded in the transportation of the ballots from the polling stations to the tallying centers. How do you react to make them feel comfortable that these votes will be secure and no one will tamper with them?
Yes, good evening, Chairman Isi and the team. My name is Joseph Kato. I am a journalist working with Uganda Radio Network. I have two questions. One, by close of evening, before the internet was shut down, and today morning, our candidates were still complaining about multiple registration of voters, and some have gone to the extent of identifying that one voter is just like 300 or less a kilometer from one polling station and another, meaning I vote here, I go 1 kilometer, I also vote at second polling station. How have you tried to correct that error, which was still being complained about even today? Then secondly, by yesterday evening, in fact today, we talked about candidates of Kawempe South parliamentary election. They are not yet heard about the verdict, whether their nomination is being challenged or they are still candidates. We'd like to hear your position about that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chair. Nyamwiza Hope is my name, sign language interpreter and disability advocate. There is an issue that came up among the persons with disabilities. They are seeking clarity on the support or assistance. Are they supposed to pick assistance of their choice, or is the Electoral Commission going to provide assistance for persons with disabilities, especially those that are visually impaired and the amputees? They would love to get more clarity on that. There is some confusion circulating out there, so you could kindly clarify. Thank you.
My name is Fred Kaji from Bukede TV. My issue is about stray ballots, because if I put the ballot of the president in the box of MPs, and this ballot box is going to be counted first. So supposing the other ballot is found the other one, when you are counting the second take, do you bring it back and you put and tally it on this first box? We just want to understand what is going to happen with those stray ballots. Thank you.
Thank you, Lord Chair. My name is Joseph Seruoza. I work with BBS TV. You have spent some good time about Kalonde Kakube. I don't know why you scared and other security organizations, agencies. But my question goes to the trust. I don't know whether you know that some of members in the general public don't trust you and your commission. What are you going to do to regain that trust during this time round, starting tomorrow? Another question is about, the commission denominated some candidates, like Matthias Walukaga. There is a rumor that these members or candidates are going to appear on the ballot paper. Is it true, and what is the intention? Thank you, Lord Chair.
Thank you so much. Lord Chair, my name is Mike Komwa. I work with UBC TV. Now, there is tension, even with observation from your address, about voters keeping a polling station. Having, I would say, failed mission to ensure that Parliament changes the law that allows voters to keep around the polling station. Pushing that they don't keep around, even when the law allows them. Aren't you going to face legal challenges and questions after the elections? And how ready are you for whatever will come out? Thank you.
Lord Chair, you may answer those questions from the part where you are there.
Thank you, our guests, for the questions or issues you have raised. Now, I will start with Mr. Lukomwa's question. As I said in my address, and as we've been articulating in previous engagements and addresses, the Commission is very much alive to the legal provisions, the Presidential Elections Act and other electoral laws pertaining to the presence of voters or other persons at a certain distance from the polling station. We are cognizant of that law. However, our bone of contention, or our point of emphasis or focus, is that from when you contextualize that law in the practicabilities and realities on the ground, as we gathered from previous elections, we find in most cases the gatherings of these people for long hours, supporting different candidates without anyone imposing upon them the manner, the orderly manner of their presence at that location or locations, is a precursor to something that results into disruption or even destruction of the materials at a polling station. And we have seen this, we have the evidence. In 2021, as I said, we saw that happening in several polling stations across the country. And the results from those polling stations could therefore not be declared. Recently, we saw what happened in Kawempe North by-elections. We also, when people invaded the polling stations, or polling station, destroyed the materials, and 14 polling stations were rendered no results, as it were. Secondly, these people have a tendency of creating an intimidating, threatening environment, particularly to the vulnerable voters, the women, the elderly, persons with disabilities, the issues that I pointed out in my main address. So we are saying, if our desire, if the quest and desire of every Ugandan of goodwill is to allow every citizen who is a registered voter to come and cast his or her vote without any fear, without any
hindrance. Let us create room for that to happen and avoid creating a scenario that might result into the disruption of polling at the station or destruction of the materials or obstructing or causing fear and apprehension in the minds of other people and they don't come to vote. That's where we're coming from. We are aware the law has not been amended. And we are not saying the law is less important, but we are saying let us be realistic from the experiences that we have had, from the general conduct. You cannot, in that environment where people are supporting different candidates, have people sitting in one place for long hours and you say no argument will break out between them. That's not possible. We have seen when candidates during campaigns, you are just bypassing one another. Maybe the group of this candidate, the group of supporters of this candidate, they happen maybe to meet at an intersection along the road. Then violence breaks out between them, just meeting along the road or public road. How about being in one location for many hours? What are the likely outcomes? And that's why we are saying that if you look in the context of benefits or advantages, there are far less benefits from people crowding around the polling station than if they were not there. Far less benefits. In fact, the dangers are much higher than the advantages or benefits that would accrue that you may think you may derive from the presence of these people. So let us avoid any scenario that, or any situation that may create that kind of environment or atmosphere at our polling stations. That is the point we are making emphatically. On the issue of the nominated candidates, or even those who are withdrawn from the race, we have two categories of candidates. Those who are denominated, those who are withdrawn voluntarily. The law says that, first of all, we have already printed ballot papers, and we cannot reprint and reprint and reprint. However, the law says if that happens, then the onus, the task is upon the commission to alert the voters in that constituency, at every polling station in that constituency, that candidate X, although he or she still appears on the ballot paper, but technically and legally, he or she is no longer a candidate for various reasons. So how do we do that? We put up a poster at the polling station that this person is no longer a candidate. Two, the presiding officers, as they hand over the ballot paper to a voter who has been verified or authenticated, they alert the voter that don't vote for candidate so and so because he or she is no longer a candidate.
Agents at each polling station to make sure that everything that happens, they are watching it. They sit close proximity to the polling station, to the officials issuing the ballot papers, to make sure nothing skips their eye. And then there's a process of transmitting those. There's a declaration form that is signed at the polling station of the results at that polling station. It is signed by the agents of the candidates, and then it is transmitted. This time, on this occasion, the declaration form, the result declaration form, DR form, is also scanned and a picture of it taken by these biometric machines, meaning that the details of this result of the declaration form will be captured and kept on the biometric machine. And then there is a transmission process using a process that is established by the Commission to transmit these results and on until they finally reach here at the National Tally Center, where the chairperson of the Electoral Commission will then be making announcements as the results come in.
And Julius, I want to thank you for spending this time with us. I know you have a busy day to be able to get us into the briefing that is supposed to be happening by the Chief Justice. I mean, the Justice, we are welcome to come here.
Yes, as just to mention that the Commission, the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, together with commissioners, they are coming to address the nation on the level of preparedness, what to expect tomorrow. They are going to say more about what the country should expect from today, tomorrow, and the coming days. And that is what is coming up in the next few minutes.
Allow me to release you, Julius. Thank you for spending time with us. We appreciate always coming here. So you have heard what is going to happen, especially from today. There is a briefing that will come in from the Justice himself, Justice Byabakama. He'll come in with his 5 commissioners and be able to address the country on what preparedness they have as the Electoral Commission. From there, he'll give us the guidelines of what tomorrow looks like, and we'll move on to see what Friday and Saturday looks like. But he already mentioned that by 4 p.m. Saturday, the results would be declared here. But even as the results come in, each result from each district, he will be declaring them from here. I would like to hand you over to the live team to see as the Commission and the team come in.
My colleague Timothy Nyangweson, my colleague Michael Jordan Lokomwaka from Moldova Electoral Commission headquarters, where the official results will be announced come Saturday. Tomorrow is the D-Day that very many Ugandans are waiting for, whereby 21.6 million voters also will be casting their ballots on whom they expect to be their president. Of course, the race being so tight amongst 2 candidates, that is candidate Yoweri Kaguta Museveni and candidate Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, but also there are other 6 candidates that are also in the race. But we shouldn't forget that even honorable members of parliament have to be voted tomorrow. So those are things that Ugandans have to put into mind. But I want to shed for you a picture and exactly understand, wherever you're watching from, what exactly is happening at the Electoral Commission headquarters. Security has been beefed up from the time we came here in the morning. The situation looked a little normal, but as time goes by, the security personnel are increasing, and that is their mandate. Different senior officials from the forces have been telling us that Ugandans must be kept safe. They shouldn't be worried about the security operatives. But the question is, doesn't this create a lot of fear amongst the people? So if my camera person can try to show you around the exterior view on what exactly is happening. Anytime we do expect the EC chairperson, Justice Simon Byabakama, to come and address the nation, to talk to us as journalists, to tell us how ready are they tomorrow. A number of things have been talked about, but tomorrow is the D-Day. What is that one issue that they did leave out that they need to address at this particular time? Of course, knowing that tomorrow by 8, people will have started to cast their ballots. I want to ask my camera person to try and pan around and show you, because all officers are on standby. This is a signal that shows that any time from now, officers are going to be arriving from the Electoral Commission. That is Justice Simon Byabakama and the entire crew. It is very important to note what is going to be mentioned. I want my camera person to try and pan right away from up there. Those are some of the vehicles from Uganda Police, of course, also the media vans that have staged there, all to ensure that we give you a very, very good and live coverage on how things will be transpiring at this very place. The vehicles that are up there, those are for the senior officials of the Electoral Commission, and that is what is going to happen. Officers are arriving to ensure that things are happening, and this is something that we need to try and look out for, but also asking a few questions from different people, giving us their feel and what they think on how this election will be looking at. By the time we came in here in the morning, the situation, even if you had an accreditation, it was very easy to access this place. But for those who think that they will access this point tomorrow we do expect a lot of security to be in this place. My camera person is trying to show you how the entrance is like. The fence was actually a number of banners, you can call them banners, that are portraying the good image of what must be done. Let us maintain peace and harmony during elections. Your vote counts. Of course, elections should not divide us. We are all Ugandans. That is the message that has been displayed by the Electoral Commission. We do have different forces, that is from Uganda Police. We do have military officers. We do have those from counterterrorism and very many other agencies that are here to support this cause. Remember, this is a mandate that Ugandans must adopt to, because it is given to by the Constitution. It is their right to cast this vote. Whom will they vote? Me and you, I do not know. So at a later time, we shall be knowing exactly what will be transpiring after officers taking their positions. Like I said earlier, where we do expect Electoral Commission officials, Justice Simon Byabakama and the entire crew, they will be letting us know what will be coming ahead of time. That is at around 6 p.m. You've heard from the spokesperson of Electoral Commission, Julius Muchunguzi. He has hinted on a number of highlights. But what are some of the things that Ugandans have to put into mind as they cast their votes tomorrow? We have been covering the campaign rallies on the different candidates. They have been giving a number of promises, come to economy, health sector, education, and very many other issues. If you're 18 and above, you have to think right before you cast your vote. Remember, every vote counts. Now that is very important. That is very key. Tomorrow is the D-Day. You have to wake up, go and vote, but you have to put in mind and abide by all the regulations that have been put by the Electoral Commission, but also the Uganda Police. It is very important. I did hear the police spokesperson saying that the forces that are moving around, the forces that are monitoring the situation, it is not all about scaring Ugandans, but their role is to monitor the entire exercise. What you do, you only have to follow the right thing, and once you do that, that will be very important. So tomorrow, 21.6 million voters and also more will be casting their votes tomorrow. How will it turn out? That is something we shall ascertain tomorrow. For now, I want to get back to the broadcast house so that we do continue with the normal programming, but a later time we shall be as well getting back to give you the different information as and when it does come in. But for us, we shall be spending our night here to ensure that whatever happens, we are in good position to give you whatever happens. I am Jethro Kaseji. Back to you at the broadcast house.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Welcome home to entertainment, to Wi-Fi everywhere, to high-speed internet, to security.
Okumanya ezisigaddeyo essatu ezo oba zeeziriwa, so nga ate ne bannamawulire nabo basigala beebuuza oluusi nga nabo tebasobola kuzibuulira balabi baabwe oba bawuliriza, kubanga oba oliawo nabo nga tebazimanyi. Lwaki totandikiraawo n'osooka otuttotolera zino ezisooka okuva eno gye tubadde tuwuliriza zino ennya, olwo nno n'essatu ozitubuulire tunaagenda mu maaso.
Amatafaali okukola essaawa nnyingi olunaku yenkola y'abayeekera naye mwe bamulya byengedde tono ne mutandika okulya naye ffe yenkola yaffe yadda bwekyetaagisa kubanga bw'ogenda kukuba ambush olina okulinda essaawa ne buziba ssaawa na 8 okyalinda omulabe okutuusa bw'ajja togenda kugamba nti ssaawa zituuse ez'ekyemisana kanve mu ambush ebyo byemu bamulya byengedde kati amatafaali omusanvu NRM getadde ku nyumba ya Uganda mu myaka 40 egiyise ettafaali erisooka ly'ettafaali ly'eddembe ndyogeddeko nnyo eddembe litandikira mu ebyobufuzi ebitali mu kusosola mawanga oba madiini ebyobufuzi ebyo byatusobozesa okukola ekibiina ekisobola okugatta bannayuganda ate n'okukola amagye ag'amaanyi na poliisi n'ebitongole birala ebyo byonna wamu bye bisobodde okukuuma eddembe mu Uganda. Ettafaali eryokubiri y'enkulaakulana enguudo amasannyalaze amazzi essimu ebyo byonna amasomero amalwaliro. Ettafaali eryokusatu ly'ettafaali ly'obugagga nga bwenjogeddeko olwaleero ku Rwale obugagga bulina enjawukana n'enkulaakulana ya ffenna naye obugagga bwa kinoomu. Ettafaali eryokuna kyekigambo ky'emirimu. Emirimu gisangibwa mu gavumenti abulwa emirimu egiri mu gavumenti naye si mingi. Gavumenti erina emirimu 48 gyokka naye emirimu egisinga obungi giri mu bubondo 4 obulimi n'obulunzi n'obuvubi obukola ssente and then akabonda akokuna by'ebyuma bya kalimagezi. So eryo ettafaali eryokuna gye tusanga emirimu. Ettafaali eryokutaano ly'ettafaali lya service delivery okutuusa obuweereza eri abantu. Twaranga ebyobulamu okugema n'okujanjaba. Twaranga okusoma. Twaranga judiciary okulamula ombwenkanya empaka eziri mu bantu eddembe security ebyo byonna biri mu service delivery. Era mu katabo ke nasindika mu byalo byonna birambikiddwa bulungi. Kati ettafaali ly'omukaaga ly'ettafaali ly'akatale. Era mpulira okweraliikirira kubanga ndaba mmwe abavubuka muli nnyo ebyamasanyu naye okuyimirizawo ensi kyetaaga amasanyu n'okukola n'okwesaddaaka ate n'okutegeera kubanga bwe nsoma amawulire siraba ayogera ku kigambo kya Africa. Ensinga Uganda etandise okukulaakulana era tumaze okulaba nti akatale ka Uganda tekamala. Twetaaga akatale aka Africa yonna, East Africa. Nolwekyo mulina okuggyayo ensonga eyo ate ne mukolagana n'abaganda bammwe ab'e Kenya, ab'e Tanzania, ab'e East Africa, ab'e Africa okulaba nti mugatta akatale ka Africa. Abakola ebya bizinesi bafune okuyambibwa, bafuna akatale akagazi akanasobola okugula ebintu byabwe. Awatali ekyo bagenda kulemwa ne basenguka ne bagenda Amerika n'awalala okukolerayo emirimu kubanga akatale wano kalemye. Ettaffaali ly'omusanvu ky'ekigambo kya East African Federation. Okuva edda ffe abalwanyi tubadde twagala kugatta East Africa, si byenfuna byokka n'ebya obufuzi n'okwerinda.
Running breaks your joints. Tai Chi builds them back. After 50, you need that. In 1 week, you'll see your energy. In 2 weeks, you'll feel your breath. In 3 weeks, you'll have energy and your wife won't believe your results. Here is the personalized plan of short Tai Chi workouts tailored for beginners over 50. It takes just 7 minutes per day. Beginner friendly and requires no equipment. You can work out anytime, anywhere.
What happens if my husband starts Tai Chi tomorrow?
How old is he?
He is 56.
Perfect. By the end of September, you might not even recognize him.
But what if he hasn't worked out in years?
That's even better. Tai Chi was built for men over 50.
Isn't the gym better?